All right, we will now call this meeting to order. Welcome to any of you watching either live or on video. Of course, to our educators, our staff, our cabinet here tonight, and of course, our volunteer board members. Good to see you all. Welcome this evening. Tonight is a regular board meeting with a special presentation this evening regarding COVID-19, a special discussion item with the Honorable County Supervisor Holly Mitchell, and a special recognition for one of our exceptional leaders. So good evening tonight. I ask for a motion at this time to adopt the agenda with one change, to move discussion item 4.1 right after 3.2 from the public. May I have a motion accordingly?
You have a motion.
Thank you, Israel.
A second.
Thank you, Roger. Ms. Subaki, a vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Aye, I forgot to vote.
Aye.
Details. At this time, we will move to the flag salute. In the grand tradition, Dr. Harbeck, will you help us along, please?
Absolutely. Please stand. Place your hand on your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
All right, thank you. At this time, as we start our meeting, we have an exceptionally proud moment to share. And Dr. Silvers, I'll turn to you to give us the details, if you would, please.
It would be my honor to share that this year, Los Angeles County Office of Education, I should backtrack, every year the Los Angeles County Office of Education honors a Superintendent of the Year. This year in 2021, Dr. Duardo, the Superintendent of Los Angeles County, decided to extend that to Cabinet Members of the Year in the areas of educational services, human resources, technology, and business. So there were 4 Cabinet members, and we are fortunate to have the first annual winner of the Educational Services Cabinet Member of the Year award in Dr. Eileen Harbeck. And so I wanted to just share a few words. Congratulations, Eileen. I absolutely want to say that. I also do want to share a few words, if that's okay, with the board. This was released from the county after interviews and so forth that we were able to. I'm able to share this information with everybody in the public. So Dr. Harbeck is worthy of so much praise for her consistent, methodical, strategic, and exemplary work she does on a daily basis to improve student learning and to ensure that the most dynamic learning environments possible exist on our campuses. She is a calm and collected leader, yet her impact is huge. Her planning is second to none, and her work product impeccable. As a cabinet member in a small district, Dr. Harbeck wears many hats, serves as the lead for several departments, and consistently challenges herself to continuously learn and improve. Her leadership during the pandemic was steady and consistent. Dr. Harbeck's oversight and leadership in ed services, educational technology, IT, and district enrollment, the LCAP, articulation with Da Vinci High Schools, is just remarkable. And when we look at outcomes, these are always areas of successes in Weismer. Dr. Harbeck is kind and caring in her work and exudes a steady undercurrent of social justice and equity that is exemplified in all of her decision-making and recommendations. She is a valued and trusted member of the district cabinet and has a wealth of knowledge and support that she provides in support of the entire team, including the Weisboro Unified School District Board of Trustees. Her dedication to her craft and to education is noteworthy and definitely deserving of this honor that she received on Friday at SoFi Stadium. Beautiful stadium, by the way, a beautiful atmosphere to receive the award. So congratulations, Eileen, and I am very, very pleased to work with you. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the flowers.
Indeed.
An honor. Thank you so much. Thank you, especially to Dr. Silvers, for putting in that those kind words, and the school board, of course. The Ed Services Department, we are small, like Weisburn, but mighty. And I'm just so thankful. So thank you.
Well, and to put this in context for those who may not know, this is LACO's award. There are 80 school districts among this group, and you're the act to follow now, Dr. Harbeck. The elite, starting the process that others will have a tough time keeping up with. So again, congratulations and well deserved.
Thank you.
All right, we will move now. Shortly, we'll turn to public comments, but before opening to the immediate those comments, I want to thank those individuals who commented on share your thoughts on our website. I obviously try to share these every time with the themes, keeping the anonymity in place. There were two themes that emerged: a desire for increased COVID testing and questions regarding the old Dana teardown. I'm sure comments will be made on both of these as part of comments from others this evening. So thank you for those comments. We appreciate your input and questions and try to address them as effectively as we can. We're also now going to turn to our public comments, but remind everyone this is a board meeting held in public, and as such, we are bound by protocols, regulations, and bylaws, including the Brown Act, which preclude us from engaging or responding. And this is why we remain silent during these comments. We do diligently listen, and this does filter into our deliberations and our thinking. We will also be adhering to protocols with regard to public comments specifically. So in accordance with our long-standing board bylaws, and thanks for your patience in reading this, individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. The board shall limit the total time for public input to no more than 20 minutes. To help you in adhering to that 30-second timeline, green, yellow, and red cards will be used. When you see a 30-second time frame, or when that happens, a yellow card will be used, and then 10 seconds, you'll get a red card. We ask you to stop 10 seconds thereafter at the 3-minute mark. So, Ms. Subaki, we turn to you and ask, are there any public comments this evening?
Good evening. Yes, we do have one public comment at this time. If we could please bring over Jessica Doherty, please.
Hi, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, welcome.
Hold on, sorry, I can't see my screen now. Great. All right, well, thank you so much. Hi, I'm Jessica Doherty. You can start the time. Start my soccer countdown. I'm Jessica Doherty. I'm the mother of 2 children at Anza Elementary School. They are in kindergarten and 2nd grade. And I wanted to come today because I would like to better understand the district's strategy to ensure that all students are advancing their math skills. The district has done a really amazing job individualizing reading instruction by utilizing the later gator and early bird schedule to provide really focused attention on the learning styles and competencies per student. Furthermore, students go to the library and they get reading books that are specifically based on their reading level. They get to select books. Now, I'm actually curious how Wiseman plans to individualize math instruction in that similar way in order to achieve the same high level of success that's happening with reading. I want to note that I recognize the extremely difficult position that schools and educators are in this year as they have to assess students' learning or loss of learning after 18 months of massive disruption. Even so, on the foot of such disruption, a strategy is needed more than ever to ensure that all students who are struggling and students who are advanced increase their math skills. Now, ST Math and CGI Math have the potential to support advancing all students. However, teachers are at very different levels of implementation, and students should not have to wait 3 years or however long it might take for teachers to get on board and ready to use those tools for individualization. For example, all students must start at the same ST Math level at the beginning of each year, despite whether they have gone way beyond that. Now, this does not make sense. If a student advances their learning in 1 year, they should not have to do repeat work. While repetition is one way skills are cemented, over-repeating is never recommended for young children, and it is dull, and it leads to students losing interest in learning because they are no longer learning but moving through the motions. Now, I happen to have 2 students who are advanced in math, and it's increasingly frustrating for me to see them completing work and doing homework that they literally learned to do a year or a year and a half ago. If our aspiration as a district is a regression to the means in math, we are succeeding. My children are lucky in that they have parents who can supplement their learning at home. I don't want to supplement, but I am every single day to ensure that they are advancing and not staying stagnant. However, many other students are not as fortunate. I never like to shine a light on a challenge without simultaneously providing potential solutions. So I researched in Policy Wonk how other school districts individualize math instruction at no additional cost to the district. Some districts allow students to go to the next grade up for math instruction and then return to their class. Some districts provide various math homework at differing levels, kind of like CGI math would be. And they divide the teachers into people creating that different curriculum, so that way they don't have the burden on one person. Some districts use online competency-based programs. Other districts divide the entire grade level into 2 to 3 small groups based on math level, and then divide kids for math. Now, I know these solutions have opportunity costs, and I really think that we need to do better than just regression to the means, because the students that are struggling and students that are advanced are both struggling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty, and appropriate comments for us to learn. Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments, Ms. Subaki?
At this time, I do not have any other comments.
For those of you who are listening, we do welcome these public comments. You help us learn, keep us informed, and they do make it into our deliberations and conversations. So that was appreciated comment, as yours would be as well in future. That is the end of public comments. In light of changing our agenda with the motion earlier, we will now go to our discussion item 4.1. Los Angeles County Supervisor from the 2nd District, the Honorable Holly Mitchell. Dr. Silvers, would you like to do an intro, please?
Sure. I just want to extend a real sincere thank you to Supervisor Mitchell and her team at the county for what I found to be very, very good communication with the district. There's been ongoing communication and updates from her office, from Supervisor Mitchell's office, and we're actually able to then leverage that communication so that we can begin discussions and or leading to negotiations with the county, the right people at the county, to be able to talk about the Del Air site and the property that we partially own and then also share with the county as well. So looking forward to those conversations, but really thankful to Supervisor Mitchell and her team for putting us in contact with the right people so that we could have the right conversations. In fact, have a meeting the week of November 8th. It'll be a kind of a kickoff meeting with the county. So just want to share that and welcome Supervisor Mitchell to our meeting. Definitely a thankful community. Is she on, Wendy? Are we?
Yes, and we're having her slid over right now. Please bring over Sonia Lopez, please. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, the supervisor is on.
Oh,
So I do want to
oh,
highlight.
I see it. I do see
Yes.
it. Okay. I'm sorry. Can we also bring over H.G. Mitchell, please? Or H.J., excuse me.
They appear
Welcome,
to be
Supervisor.
muted. Sonia and HJ appear to be muted.
Yeah, you're muted right now.
And video, okay, perfect. Hey, good evening, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, President Goldman and Superintendent Silvers. I really appreciate you allowing me to come in just to share a few words. And I was really glad to hear your public comment. As I sat there and listened to her, I thought, I'm really glad that my son is now 21. I remember being where she is, and more power to her, and more power to more parents like her that are, as she said, trying to problem solve. So, you know, I love constituents like that. They're going to help me not only identify a problem, but identify a solution. So I tip my hat to her and all your other parents you serve. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, Superintendent Silvers, it is our fundamental role to help connect you on behalf of the parents and students you serve to the appropriate contacts and departments in the county. Please know we will continue to do that. My point of joining you tonight is just to introduce myself and to bring greetings. I had an aha moment shortly after being elected, Actually, it was a suggestion from a former colleague of mine. And in our last now 10, 11 months, we've tried to get on the agenda of every school board, school district, and city council just to say, I am your new county supervisor. We have an open door policy, and we want to partner and share the pain that we've all experienced in the last year and a half, 2 years, and share opportunities for recovery and resources. And so this is an introduction to you and the families that you serve, encouraging you all to please get to know my staff. I have to tell you privately, this is the most amazing team I've ever had the honor of serving with. I am so humbled by them every day. And so put them to work. And you can find them on my website. But I just invite you to familiarize yourself with my website so you know the kind of resources and opportunities that we're trying to avail you to. Things like a new wonderful lifeguard training opportunity and swim lessons. We had an issue this year with some of the public pools in the 2nd Supervisorial District. We didn't have enough lifeguards trained, so we're doing a new outreach and want to work with school districts to help us identify young Angelenos who would like to be lifeguards. We will be in Lenox Park offering vaccinations and boosters this coming Saturday, October 30th from 9 to 4. I want you to meet my constituent services rep who is assigned geographically to your area, and that's Ara On. And so if you go on the website, you'll see the entire constituent services staff, you'll see the policy staff, and ways in which you can contact us. So again, this is an introduction. I bring you greetings and look forward to have the opportunity to continue to work collaboratively.
Well, welcome. We really appreciate the opportunity to have you reach out to have this connection. Your timing is terrific. We have a couple things that we've actually been in contact. Dr. Silver's mentioned one, which is the, I believe, Mr. Wilson, our chief business official, if you can clarify for me, I think at the after a 99-year lease, we have an expiring lease in 2026 relative to county shared land that the school district owns that the county leases from us. So, and I think Dr. Silver's mentioned that November 8th meeting upcoming. So we're excited about that opportunity that we can be ahead of the game and create a win-win for our community and the county overall. And if I got that date right, Dave?
I think there's 2 leases that are current. One expires, I believe, in 2025 and the other in 2026. 99 years might be a little bit overzealous. I don't know if it's been 99 years, but at least 40 to 50 years, termination of that lease, or at least coming to termination or renewal, hopefully.
Good. And then I know the other one that part of our community has been involved with. In fact, one of the ones who just made that presentation is involved in the proposed aviation greenway, a beautification and bicycling area project within our district that you, as my understanding, your office has been supportive on. So again, thank you there. Any comments or questions from the board or anyone on our screen tonight?
I have a few comments. Supervisor Mitchell, I'd like to just welcome you to the district and congratulations on your election win. And thank you for joining us. A pleasure to have you today, and know that you're always welcome to join us. We look for open dialogue and communication. Welcome to the Wiseman Unified School District. It's a true pleasure to see you. Look forward to many more conversations in partnership with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Tonight, joining me, Sonia Lopez, who is my Chief Deputy of Constituency Services. And so between Sonia and Ms. Ara An, you will always have, you see them, you see me. You know, I lead a team of empowered team members. And so please know that if you connect with them, that's a direct connection to me and the leadership in my organization. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I hope you'll go to the website and send us some future lifeguards for the 2nd District, and know that there will be many opportunities for future partnership. I thank you for your time this evening.
Well,
Thank
again,
you, Supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez, Supervisor Mitchell. It's a pleasure to have you reach out. We really appreciate the partnership. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You bet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, we appreciate Holly Mitchell, Supervisor Mitchell reaching out to us. And in my recollection of my 30 years, 20 plus years with the district, that's never happened before. A nice thing for us to have that connection. That's great. Now back to our agenda and our special presentation. Dr. Silvers, we'll turn it to you.
Wendy, am I going to just share my screen? I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure. Okay. Hey, good evening. I just wanted to share, we're going to share, and actually I'm going to ask Dr. Dougal to help share this presentation with me. There's a lot of information here as we've tried to capture as much COVID-19 health and safety protocol updates, et cetera, especially with a lot of information that's coming on a daily, weekly basis, hourly basis, sometimes it seems, but definitely we're trying to cull this information together and provide a solid update here for the board and the public. So with that being said, we know that obviously we're still battling a pandemic, and some of the ways that Weisburn has looked to evolve as it relates to protocols and practices related to COVID-19 safety is through pushing vaccines. Again, it's not mandated yet for the emergency use vaccinations. We know that there's some there was a legislation at the governor's office about those that have been approved by FDA, the actual vaccinations that have been approved by the FDA, that there's a mandate there. But again, we are pushing vaccinations and want to provide opportunities for our community to come out and get vaccinated locally so that, you know, it's close and it's efficient and effective and convenient for our families to come out and we can provide that vaccination with our partners at Fulgent. I believe Dr. Dougal will share a little more about that. We also are able to offer COVID-19 testing, and then we have our close contact and quarantining procedures, contact tracing that we'll talk about as well. So talking a little bit about vaccinations, currently 89.1%, so nearly 90% of our eligible 12 to 17-year-olds in the Weisburn community have been vaccinated, and this is per LADPH data through 10/26 of 2021. So we are seeing a high level of students within our district boundaries that have been vaccinated. On the 21st, Governor Newsom did announce that all elementary school students would be required to get a COVID-19 vaccine once it gains final approval from the U.S. government. Currently, the status of each group safety approval is as follows, and just want to share this. 16 plus, it is a fully approved vaccine. So that means it's no longer an emergency use. It's fully approved for those 16 and over. Ages 12 to 15, the vaccine is approved for emergency authorization or emergency use. And then ages 5 to 11, the FDA independent advisors have recommended that the agency issue an emergency use authorization so that we can begin and expect to begin providing vaccination opportunities for those that wish to get it, those 5 to 11-year-olds that wish to be vaccinated. Again, it would be under an emergency use authorization. So this mandate will be a condition of in-person instruction, similar to measles, mumps, rubella vaccinations. I do believe there's a list of 10. This would be the 11th, and I'm sorry if that number's off, of mandatory vaccinations throughout a student's educational journey. So the mandate of vaccines, or vaccine mandate, is not it's not atypical in schools. This is something that's been around for a long time. Student who is not vaccinated may remain enrolled, would have to be enrolled in an independent study or some sort of alternative study method, but may not attend in-person instruction. The governor has also directed that adults be held to at least the same standards as students for COVID-19 vaccine. All staff will be required to be vaccinated no later than when the first phase of students meet those requirements. Become effective, when the requirements become effective. So that the point that the 12 to 15-year-old emergency use is lifted and it becomes a fully FDA approved vaccination, and then there's a mandate at the time that the students are mandated to be vaccinated, staff members would be mandated as such. So timing of a mandate, the mandate may take effect at the start of the term, which would be January 1 or July 1. That's based on a calendar year. You know, we're looking at depending on the approval. And that, again, it's following that full approval. And that would happen grades K to 6 and grades 7 to 12. Again, depending on when that becomes a fully approved vaccination. So just looking at this timeline, the vaccine will be fully approved for ages 12 to 15, looking somewhere around the neighborhood of October, November. We're obviously moving through October, so we're looking more like a November when we would see that 12 to 15-year-old vaccination be fully approved. By January 1, students in grades 7 to 12 would be required to be vaccinated to attend school in person. Again, this represents a sort of a hypothetical timeline should these vaccinations become fully approved. Then if you look second semester 2022, the vaccine could be or may be fully approved for students ages 5 to 11-year-olds. That would be our grades K to 6. So really that does the gamut of our K through 12. Again, TK is in question, some kids provide, but nonetheless, we would pretty much be able to assume that all students would be eligible for vaccination, hopefully by second semester 2022. So then, if that were the case, by July 1st, so as we move into our next school year, our next actual calendared school year, students in grades K to 6 may or would be required to be vaccinated to attend in-person schooling, just as they would need to provide a mumps or vaccine and the Tdap for our 7th graders. It would just be a similar process. Some additional details, students who are under the age of full approval, but within the grade span, will be required to become, so if the 4-year-old turns 5 in the middle of the school year, they would be required to be vaccinated once they reach that age of approval. So, you know, again, there will be a reasonable, and sure, within the legislation, there will be a timeline that will accompany that we don't know yet. Also, current law does provide that the 10 currently mandated vaccines are required prior to a student's first admission to a given school. And there are slight exemptions, medical exemptions, and those exemptions have been a lot smaller and a lot more difficult to obtain over the years. So vaccinations have been increasing, or the mandate for vaccinations has been more strict and increasing. Additional vaccines, including COVID-19 vaccines, may be required by California Department of Public Health. It could be prior to the student's first enrollment in a school. And this would be right now currently expected that there would be a broad personal belief exemption, but a narrow medical exemption. So there's a little bit of gray area within this mandate, and we do hope that the governor and the state fleshes this out a little bit more as we move closer to that time. Assuming the governor's intent is to require COVID-19 vaccinations for all students and employees, and on a quicker timeline, additional action in the form of an executive order, some sort of legislative action will likely take place. So we are, again, waiting and anticipating that there's going to be more information that's going to be handed down from the governor via an executive order, and or the legislature may take action. And I am going to turn it over to Dr. Dugal at this point.
Thanks, Dr. Silvers. Good evening, everyone. Just to piggyback off of this, we have had a few clinics already. So Wiseman did have the Pfizer clinic for 12 plus, so ages 12 plus. It was mainly for our staff members and community members to get the first dose, second dose, or booster shots. And so we had over 100 shots given on the October 15th, and many of them were our own teachers and staff members that were getting their booster shots. And so a big shout out and thank you to Fulgent, Wiseman Ed Foundation, and Connecta. They brought the ice cream truck for all of our students that tested that week, which was over 537 folks came by to get ice cream that Friday. So that was an amazing turnout, just in terms of both testing and vaccination. And we are looking at continuing additional vaccine clinics. Next slide.
Dr. Dugal, I don't know. Oh, maybe I'll steal your thunder. I'm going to let you. I'll let you continue. I'll go ahead.
Okay. Can I get the next slide though? Perfect. So once again, very excited that we are going to be having upcoming pediatric vaccination clinics. And so this is for the 5+. We are waiting next week for the CDC to authorize the emergency use authorization for the Pfizer vaccine for ages 5 to 11. Once that becomes an EUA or an emergency use authorization, then we will be able to host our clinic. So once again, partnership with Fulgent and the Weismer Ed Foundation, we have 2 options for a vaccine clinic for our students. We will have the first option is Tuesday, November 9th at Dana with a second dose on Tuesday, November 30th. And then option 2, if Tuesdays don't work for you, we have a Thursday, November 18th and Thursday, December 9th. Just so all of our community members, board members are aware that the Pfizer vaccine is the only one that would be approved right now for pediatrics. And so it will actually be 1/3 the dosage that adults take. So it is a completely different dosage than the adult vaccine. We sent out an email today to community members closer to about 5 o'clock and have had already 130 families interested in ensuring that they can get the vaccine through us and Fulgent at Dana Middle School. So parents, please check your emails. We did send an email out giving you information, and we will be sending a registration link next week as well, so you can register for an appointment time.
So Dr. Dooley, that's just in an hour and a half, basically.
Yeah, yeah. We have a, next slide, have a kind of just a visual. I know we saw there was a lot of words on the previous slide, and so just so everyone kind of sees a visual format of this. So next week, hopefully Tuesday or Wednesday is when the CDC is scheduled to meet. They will vote on the emergency use authorization. And so after they vote, the dosages will be kind of shipped out to the different providers. And then we will have our first clinic on Tuesday, November 9th. And if you can see the 2 light blue colors, those are the 2 for clinic 1. And if you choose to get it on Thursday, the 18th, then your return date would be December 9th. And so once again, we are excited and looking forward to this continued partnership with Fulgent to get the doses out to our interested family members and students over the age of 5.
Can I add just, Dr. Dooley, I just want to, publicly thank you for putting this together, because, we're not part of Beach City's health district, and we're not in a municipality, so we don't have direct linkages to hospitals. Generally, they partner with districts within a city, and so it really does take a lot of effort. I shouldn't even say a little bit of effort and relationship building to be able to offer this in Weisburn, because we're small, and this was a lot of hard work, to be able to have it so soon. I think the earliest districts in the South Bay are starting their clinic with Beach City's health district on the 8th, so we're within that same window, and really with limited resources. And so just want to thank Dr. Dooley for her work on being able to get this taken care of so quickly.
So vaccines, that's kind of where we are at. We will continue to look at additional booster vaccines and dose 1 and dose 2 for adults as well. COVID-19 testing continues to happen every Tuesday and Thursday, but we've also expanded our sites. And so for the month of September, it was mainly only at Dana, but we have expanded to now include Anza and Cabrillo, as well as additional testing days on Fridays through WEF. Beyond just the PCR testing we have available through Fulgent, we also have rapid COVID-19 tests available in all of the health offices at our school. And so parents are able to request those tests. Those are taken only at school and are administered by the health clerk on site. Next slide. All right, so this is the confusing information, but the exciting information. So close contacts and quarantine procedures, as Dr. Silvers had mentioned, a lot of times these change weekly, daily, hourly. And so just so everyone is aware is that no hiding it, we have had positive COVID cases on our campuses. Since the first day of school, we've actually had 9 total COVID cases on site. I know board members, I shared a different number with you earlier. That number included students that were not on our site. And so we did have a few students that we had started school, but they did not attend the first few days because they were positive from the summer. And so we've had 9 total cases. When we have those cases, we do go into kind of a close contact quarantine procedure mode, and we figure out who our close contacts are, start contacting them and giving them all the different details. And so this new update did clarify for us who's considered a close contact, gave us 3 definitions of different quarantine procedures, and let us know that we can have actually a shortened quarantine if certain requirements are met. So if we can go to the next page, next slide. Couple of things to update everyone is I know the close contact, everyone hears about the 6 feet for more than 15 minutes, as well as any time that it was unprotected contact, like without a mask. Something to let all parents know is that if a student in a classroom tests positive, that does not automatically consider everybody in the classroom a close contact. So we do go through an interview process. We do consult absolutely with the Department of Public Health in determining who close contacts would be. So it's not, if student A or in room 24 tests positive, it doesn't mean all 30 students in that class would be considered a close contact. We have seating charts from every classroom. We interview students on who they may have had lunch with or who they may have interacted with at recess. And so we do determine who those close contacts are. Next slide. So if it wasn't confusing enough, there are 3 different options when we get to quarantining. So option 1 is just a regular 10-day quarantine. There's an option to do a shortened quarantine, and then there's an option to do a modified. And I should rephrase that, it's not really an option. There's specific criteria that we review to determine where a close contact would fall. A positive case obviously absolutely must self-isolate for 10 days before they can return and have no symptoms. But the quarantining, there are different criteria. So next slide. So the first one, this is the regular 10 days of full quarantine. So this would mean students would have to stay home. They shouldn't be going to another house. They shouldn't be going to soccer practice. They shouldn't be coming to school. They should be quarantining at home because they are considered a close contact. So for 10 full days, they are not to come on campus, and they can only return if they are symptom-free. I want to reiterate and make sure everyone is aware, after the 10 full days, there is not a requirement to have a negative test to come back. As long as they are symptom-free and they are following the entire quarantine procedure, they are able to return on day 11. Next 2 quarantines, or next one. The next 2 quarantines do require testing. So the shortened quarantine, if a child or a parent meets the criteria and would like to return after 7 full days of being quarantined, which means on day 8, they must have a viral test done on day 5 or after. So once again, very confusing when we talk to parents on the phone, but we always follow up with an email letting them know the exact date they can take a test and the exact date they must come back. But if they want to follow a shortened quarantine, they must take a approved viral test. And so that is done through Fulgent on Tuesdays and Thursdays at those sites. And finally, the last type of quarantine that we have is a modified quarantine. This is only eligible for students that are asymptomatic, and they have been able to wear a mask at all times that they have been near the positive case. And so it works well for us because in Wiseburn, we do have our masks on not only indoors, but outdoors as well during recess, during PE. The only time students are unmasked is when they are actively eating or drinking. These students, in order to stay in a modified quarantine, and what we mean by modified is they're allowed to come to school to learn only. So LADPH is very clear. They do not want students missing school and learning. And so if they're able to safely follow all the criteria, they are able to be on campus, and it's only for teaching and learning. They don't stay after school for any sort of extra programming. They shouldn't be going to soccer practice, shouldn't be going trick-or-treating this weekend. They must only be on campus to learn and then need to go home. These students, we do require them to test 2 times per week. for the 10-day period. And so we keep track of those tests and we email parents reminding them that they have to get tested. So once again, we've got 3 different options for quarantining, but there's specific criteria that they have to meet. Next slide, Dr. Silvers.
I'm wondering if we should stop there for a question, just a quick brief question check. No? All right.
So additional safety measures. So this is just, but beyond the masks and the health screenings and such that are happening, we do want to let our parents, community members know that we are limiting our campuses right now to essential visitors only. And in this case, it really is staff members and any outside agencies that provide direct services to our students. We want to be vigilant and keep our campuses open. And the one way we know we can do that is to ensure we have the least amount of additional folks on our campuses. And so we hope you will remain patient with us as we work on how we can allow additional visitors to be on campus, but making sure that we're following all the safety measures. If you go to the very last slide, so we do have on our website, we do have additional health and safety policies. We have our COVID dashboard on our district website as well, which lets you know how many active cases we have and data about how many students are testing every week. And so we encourage you to take advantage of learning more about what we're doing for health and safety on our campuses. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Dugal. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a few questions. Dr. Dugal, from the 9 COVID cases that since the start of the school year, I know we've done the contact tracing. Do we know how many other students or is it contacted or contracted COVID as a result of those initial 9, or is it literally 9 total?
Literally 9 total. So we have been very fortunate that we have not had what we refer to in-school transmission. And so students have gotten COVID, they've gotten it off-site. And because of the safety procedures we have in place and the immediate quarantining and masking and all of our safety protocols in place, there has been no additional cases besides, case 0 that we started with.
Got it.
Can I tease that out a little bit more, Roger? So I think that, so when student A, there have been students that have come to school with COVID-19. So they've actually been in a classroom with students, but as Dr. Dugal shared, the use of masks, the use of physical distancing to the best of our ability, obviously for older kids, Vaccinations has kept it so that that transmission hasn't happened. So we've been able to, so just really, really thankful for our staff for holding these mitigation strategies, to adhering to them so strictly.
Final question I had, we have 89.1% of eligible students vaccinated. As a comparison, in terms of our staff and administration and teachers, what is that percentage of teachers and administration that are fully vaccinated as well?
Give me just a moment. We have 95% of our entire staff vaccinated, fully vaccinated. And fully vaccinated mean either both doses or with Johnson & Johnson, the first dose.
Fantastic, thank you. That's all I have, thank you.
Thanks, Roger. I wanted to just, again, the 89.1 is remarkable. That's well above national averages. So thank you to our community for doing that, helping us keeping everybody safe. Dr. Dugal, thank you for the outreach for November 9th and November 18th, assuming those do get approved, for being ahead of the game here. That's just terrific. I did have a question, a reminder to anybody listening or watching that we do have the free testing available Tuesdays and Thursdays, and question how many are taking advantage of this on a weekly basis. Do we have any indicator of that?
Yeah, so we've actually been steadily increasing every week. And so the last 2 weeks, we've had over 350 tests being administered. So we have had additional tests, and obviously some of those tests are required for those that are in quarantine. So those numbers do increase when we do have a positive case and folks are having to test in order to return back to school.
Comments or questions from anyone else?
I just had a quick comment. I wanted to just take this opportunity to thank Dr. Silvers and Dr. Dugal for that wonderful presentation. I think this is great information. The question I had is, will this presentation be made available to people maybe on the website at the respective school sites? I think the visual With regards to the upcoming appointments, would be great to certainly post at each of the respective websites. And again, I also wanted to just extend the appreciation to Fulgent, the Weisbrand Ed Foundation, the community here, and also the parents. I think the statistics that were just represented here just illustrates the wonderful partnership and collaboration that's taking place to ensure that our students, our parents, and our community are safe. So I want to just thank you, everyone that is playing a part of this.
And Nelson, I couldn't agree more. You said it very well. And just the success of how lack of transmission on campus shows that you're following the protocols. And I encourage that to continue. And thank you so much for the whole team, because I know it takes everybody doing the right thing. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And all this information will be, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One quick comment, Dr. Silvers, just to get the word out with regards to the availability and timing of the test. Can we post that on our district or school site marquees, just so that it's more visible? If we're not doing that already, it'd be nice to post those, the availability of the testing if we're not doing that already.
We'll make sure that it's on the marquees. I know that the principals do include it in their newsletters, and we do every Tuesday and Thursday morning. If you are not already following us on Instagram and Facebook, it's also posted there on every Tuesday and Thursday.
Great, thank you.
We will have these slides available. They may be available now already online. We try and get these up as quickly as possible. So thank you, Erica. I think she's probably online and quickly trying to upload these slides to our website. We will be really hitting all of our social media outlets, et cetera, schools, so that we make sure people know about the vaccination opportunities for kids 5 through 11. And also we'll include testing. And I believe that is regular. So we are sending out regular messaging regarding testing as well. So all good.
All right. Well, thank you again. Not to minimize the concern for those 9 students. So it's obviously want to be vigilant there. And also it would be remiss of us not to thank our staff on site, our teachers, our support staff, everybody for living within these protocols that's been so successful. So thank you very much to the entire team. Let's now move to information item 5, start with from the board. Mr. Mora, would you like to start us off, please?
Sorry about that, guys. No, I don't have any too much specific. I was very pleased to hear the statistics on our COVID cases and how well we're doing with that. I again want to commend all the players involved. Having been on campus, I know that it's being followed, and that's very positive. And know that we'll continue to do that for parents and families to know that we'll continue to be as safe as we can. And it's great to have the kids back on campus, and we want to keep it that way. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mora. Mr. Martinez.
I echo Mr. Mora's comments, and I just would also like to add that I'm pleased to see that the Dana Middle School is going down. I know the community is very happy. It's been something that they've waited for a long time, and I'm sure Blake will give us a further update later. That's all I have for this evening, Neil.
Thank you, Nelson. Roger.
Yes, thank you. A couple of comments as well. Really happy to see the progress being made with the demolition of the old Dana Middle School. It's definitely progressing. As you drive by, the landscape has certainly changed. So very, very different. Just one item of safety I'd like to just discuss briefly. Dr. Silvers, in the mornings, if we can please look at our gates to ensure that our gate is completely closed during the demolition phase, especially on 135th Street. We have a lot of students crossing, going to Dana. Just wanted to make sure that the gate is completely closed during those periods, because that's when we have a lot of foot traffic. I fully understand the need to have that gate open for egress and ingress with regards to the trucks, but that's the most vulnerable time for our students. So I want to make sure that those gates remain closed during that period of pickup and drop off. The other item I wanted to touch base on as well, wanted to congratulate Dr. Harbeck for the incredible award for the Cabinet Member of the Year. Thank you so much, Dr. Harbeck, for your leadership and guidance. your input and our strategies with the LCAP and what you do day in and day out are invaluable to us. So I wanted to just say thank you. It's a wonder to and awesome to have you as a part of the Wiseburn team. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's all I have, Dr. Goldman.
Appreciate it, Ms. Brennan-Willis. Anybody who can use ingress and egress in a sentence gets my kudos. My thoughts again, similarly, Old Dana coming down, glad to see that progressing. Again, Dr. Harbeck, get kudos to you. You bring so much. This is absolutely a fitting recognition, appropriate. Doesn't begin to recognize you for the contributions you make, so thank you. Had the opportunity of visiting the Enrichment Center in Del Air. Was thrilled after that meeting to see that we have replaced the turf that we will be ratifying, or actually installed turf to the non-existent grass, as well as lowered the sinks for our little kiddos who can now reach easier. That's both a safety issue and an access issue. That's great. Thank you very much. I also want to thank those who are participating in the CAC, our naming committee. Got the opportunity to be involved in that. As a reminder to those who are on the committee, November 4th is our next meeting. And I will be on a flight and seeing if I can join from a plane. So we'll see how that works. Want to also thank Fulgent and particularly WEF for their support of our vaccination events. Thank you. And finally, I wanted to recognize all the teachers and the staff for hanging in there. You provide such a vital and valuable service. Obviously, this goes without saying. We also want to recognize, I want to recognize that this is a difficult time. The need for masks, the COVID protocols, obviously it's working. Thank you. We know it's a burden. Hang in there. I encourage and challenge our administrators, both on site and in the district office, to encourage, to continue to work on the social emotional supports for our staff and for morale, because I know they need to know how much we appreciate them and recognize how challenging this is. So thank you again to all of you on our school sites with our students and for the difference you make. So thank you very much. Now let's go to continuing with information and our Chief Business Official, Mr. Dave Wilson.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. Well, it seems like Old Dana demo is a hot topic, so I will provide an update on that. I spoke to Erickson Hall, which is a construction management firm that we've hired. All abatement has been completed with the exception of 2 buildings at the very southwest corner of the demo property. They are going to be abated by end of tomorrow or at the latest early next week. Obviously, if you've driven by the property, you can see that the demo on the northernmost buildings on 135th have already begun. Some other updates, the temp electrical power to SLC has been installed, so that now the power to Old Dana is completely shut off. There is a permanent gas line now from New Dana to SLC, so it seems like the utilities are being installed and upgraded. And then I checked on the schedule. We are still on schedule to be done with the complete demo by the end of December. So we're still on target, on calendar. I did want to mention, as you mentioned, Dr. Goldman, the artificial turf at the Enrichment Center is completed. Looks great. I've gotten feedback from Karen over there that the parents and the students are very happy with it. So we're excited. Peggy, anything to add? I know you did mention that sinks have been lowered. So I know the students and the staff are also happy with that. Peggy, did I miss anything?
Nope, that's it. It does. It looks great. Thank you very much. Look, very, very nice job on the sinks being lowered and the grass, the turf. It withstood the rain very nicely on Monday, and it wasn't the slip and slide that I thought it was going to be. So it's very nice. It's great. Thank you.
All right. A couple more updates. If I could share my screen, Wendy. Can everybody see that? Good to go. So I just wanted to give you our updated revenue to budgets for the month of September and year to date. So you can see these are LCFF revenues, this top section up here. This is your local control funding formula. So for the month of September, just over $2 million received. Year to date, almost $3.2 million. Our budget amount is just under $26.6 million. So we're about 12% to budget. This in lieu property taxes is the prorated share of property taxes that we pass on to Da Vinci. So the month of September, we gave them $742,000. Year to date, just over $1.1 million. Our budget amount of our prorated share of property taxes is budgeted at 4.1. So we're at 27%. Federal revenues, a little bit harder to budget for federal revenues. Are really, they come in quarterly. You have to do a cash management report. So the feds give you their revenues based on your cash management reports. So for the month of September, only about $6,700. Year to date, just over $22,000. And for federal revenues, this includes or this budgeted $3.9 million for the year. This includes a lot of one-time COVID funds we're expected to receive in 21-22. Other state revenues for September, about $147,000. Year to date, almost $500,000, and we've budgeted just over $5.1 million. Again, there is some one-time COVID funds related in this budget as well. Other local revenue, which is local revenue like rents, other monies we get. It also includes Measure CL property taxes. So for Measure CL parcel tax, I should say, we had nothing in September. For the year to date, just under $15,000. We're projected to receive about $1.8 million in the current year. I should say that we do have an upcoming Measure CL and Measure A Oversight Committee meeting coming up. I think it's next week, and we'll share that budget with the Oversight Committee. So summary, for the month of September, we received just over $1.6 million in revenues. Year to date, just over $2.8 million, and we have about $34.7 million budgeted, or about 8% of the way to go. Any questions on that before I go to the next slide? Good to go?
Yeah, question on,
yes, sir.
With only 8% of our monies received, are we in any, is that presenting any cash flow concerns?
Not yet, and it's because a lot of the property taxes we will get in, they come in large quantities in both December and April. So the first few months are kind of what I term the lean months, but then when we hit December, we get an influx of a lot of revenues, a lot of property tax revenues, and then again in April. And next slide I'm actually going to show you is our cash flow, and I'm showing you there's no concern for any cash negatives for the current year. So with that, if there's no other questions, I'll move to cash flow. So here's our cash flow. These are actuals July through September. So you can see right here, we started the current fiscal year with just over $11 million in cash. And a reason that's usually not that high, but we did get a lot of last year in 2021, we did get a large influx in one-time COVID funds. And we also borrowed $5 million because the state had deferred a lot of the LCFF revenues they were going to get. Usually we have about $5 million to $6 million in cash to end the year, to begin the next fiscal year. So I just want to give you a reason why that's so high. For the month of July, you can see we ended with $6.6 million in cash, so good. August, we went up a little bit. We ended with, call it $7.5 million. September, just over 4.1 ending in cash. And then December, you can see here property tax. I just want to illustrate that. You can see we're expecting a large amount in property taxes in December. So if you look at this column or this row F, ending cash, if you go across, every number is positive. So no cash issues to be concerned about as of now. I don't show any internal borrowing necessary. Again, we're always monitoring this on a month-to-month basis. If it does look like we will be cash flow at any point, we do have Fund 17 and Fund 20 where we can borrow approximately $2 million in cash internally. If that doesn't suffice, we would always look for the county for a temporary loan, or perhaps go to an outside investor for a loan, which we had to do last year. But as of right now, it doesn't look like we'll need any cash assistance, which is nice. And I think that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Any comments? Yeah, great. Just great to see, Dave. I know that we had not seen this. I think this is very informative. I love that you're projecting out. Really helpful. Well done. Thank you. Good to see.
Thank you.
And good to see you in such positive shape. Let's move to our Director of Psychological Services, Ms. Mazzarella.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have anything additional to share other than other than the preschool, just the grass and the sinks. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. And that was quite a bit of work they had to do there. If you went over to that site, the trees were so developed that their roots were showing up. They had to maintain the trees without injuring the trees, but level the ground, which is quite a bit of work. And from my observation, it was a really nice job. So
they did a really nice job how they cut the turf to fit around, and you can still see some of the exposed roots, but it's not in a dangerous way. It's very flush with the ground. It looks really good, and it's very safe looking as well.
Great. Well, thanks for your leadership on that. Let's go to our Assistant Sup of Human Resources, Dr. Dougal. Anything to add?
Nothing to add, thanks.
All right. Thanks for your presentation earlier. And finally, our Assistant Superintendent for Ed Services, the woman of the hour, Dr. Harbeck.
If it's all right, I'd like to save my comments for Agenda 6.2, which is our ESSER 3 plan.
You got it. Dr. Silvers, our superintendent.
Right. I just a couple comments tonight. One, I just really want to say how nice it was to join Eileen and Dr. Dougal at SoFi Stadium and be able to be a part of the celebration. Not only Eileen's celebration, although that was the highlight for me, but also just to be able to be out and about with superintendents across LA County. So I want to thank Dr. Eduardo for putting that on and allowing us to enjoy SoFi Stadium, but also to hear keynote speakers and be able to be engaged in person in a way that we haven't really been able to do yet in a long time. So it was a nice kickoff, and again, big congratulations to Eileen for the award. Also want to thank the Wiseburn Education Foundation for their continued support, finding innovative ways to provide opportunities for families, not only obviously the music support that they give us and STEM support that they give us, but also for being there to support the vaccination push and the testing push, and Connecta as well for their support of this process. Just lots of people to thank in the community. It just speaks wonders for the involvement in the community. So thank you for that. On that note as well, and if I shared this already, I apologize, but I have it as a note, which means I don't think I did, but just a few weeks ago, Cabrillo actually had the Cabrillo Games for the first time. It was a fundraiser from the Cabrillo PTA. Again, we had to limit the number. It kind of was instead of the Jogathon, it was the Cabrillo Games. And I believe to date they raised over $55,000 or $58,000. I don't have that exact number. I will get it, but I mean a significant amount of money was raised, and just a kudos to the Cabrillo PTA, to Lisa Wilberg and the leadership there. And it just was awesome watching the kids engage in this activity. It was just so much fun. Being able to see kids out there running, and yeah, they were wearing masks, but they were having a lot of fun. So it was a nice event, a nice day. I think Wendy was the biggest cheerleader out there all day long in the sun with her, with the pom-poms and all that. So it was really nice to see that. So, also want to I thank Dave for discussing Old Dana Middle School, because I had an update there and I don't have to give it. Dave gave a much more thorough update than I would. Roger, I definitely noted your concern, and we'll make sure that we get those gates closed as well. So the renaming committee, November 4th is the date. Want to thank Dr. Ingram for that. We were able to secure Dr. Philip Effington from the University of Southern California, Fight On. And he'll be coming in to do basically a lecture and information sharing. He's an expert in California history. This is his expertise, and this is a really good find. And he's actually offered to do this gratis, which is really nice that he's willing to come share his expertise with the community and with those that are on the CAC. So. Thank you to Dr. Effington. Definitely look forward to what he has to share. He's going to spend about 40 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, I guess, depending on questions through a presentation, and then he'll spend the other 15 minutes just open to questions and answers so that people can gain more insight as to the namesakes that we have on our school buildings at this point. Lastly, I just want to share, it's been posted on Instagram, and we did send a message out on Facebook as well, but to see the U.S. News and World Report's rankings of the schools in Wiseburn just, really brings a smile and a sense of pride, I think, to my face and to all of us here. I think all of our schools ranked very high. I do want to give a special shout out, though, to Dana Middle School. Out of 3,600 and over 3,600 schools, some were ranked, some were unranked because they didn't meet the threshold. In the state of California, Dana Middle School ranked number 159. And that is just incredible, an incredible feat. for a very good school. And I just wanted to highlight that and just share that there are very few schools, middle schools locally. I'm not going to use names. I'm just going to say there are very, very few schools locally on the west side and frankly in California that live to the standard of Dana. And so just really proud of the team there over the years for making this this another first annual. The U.S. News and World Reports have never ranked K-8 schools, and we're seeing those rankings start coming out. So anyway, congrats to Dana, and that's all I have, Dr. Goldman.
Thank you, Dr. Silvers. I was remiss in not recognizing Dave for your work on the Del Air site as well. So thanks for your leadership and efficient work there. That was quick work and well done. And then one last thing is, Dr. Silvers, in light of the comments that were made in the public comments, I would like us to see our individualized, personalized math plans moving forward at a future meeting to see how we can move that bar forward. I'm a big fan of, I think we all believe in the power of personalization, individualized learning. How can we bring that to math, especially at this time? So appreciate that impetus and thank you. Let's move now to action item 6, a motion please for resolution 21/22.05, proclaiming a local emergency, ratifying proclamation of a state emergency by Governor Newsom dated March 4th, 2020, and authorizing remote teleconference meetings for the period October 1 through October 31, 2021. May I never have to read that again, but I will.
You have a motion?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. This is required monthly to maintain the status of safety and remote meetings. Any comments or questions? Ms. Subaki, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Wendy, do we have to do a roll call vote on that? I think we need to do a roll call vote.
Yes. Yes, we're supposed to do roll call vote. So Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 6.2, approval of the ESSER 3 expenditure plan. A motion, and then I know we will have comments and updates. Motion, please.
Motion.
You have a second?
Thank you both. Comment, Dr. Harbeck.
Thank you. You know, tonight, just for clarity's sake, I have a couple of slides. Wendy, if I could share my screen. So let me go back one. So we have the great gift this year of several funding opportunities coming to our district from both the state and the federal government. And the most recent is what's termed the ESSER 3. And for every bit of money that comes in, all districts are asked to put together, of course, a plan and report on the use of the funds. And they are specific to certain needs. So tonight, I just want to briefly go over the plan, which is in the board agenda. It's public facing. The plan has to be based on other plans that we put together, other input that we've gotten from our stakeholders. So we've used the LCAP that was grown last year and approved in June, and our most recent Extended Learning Opportunity Grant, or the ELOG. So this is a federally funded grant. It comes from the American Rescue Act for specific to COVID relief. And we're looking at using this fund to support all of our elementary and secondary schools across the nation. So guidelines for growing the plan, we have to describe how the district will use the funds to implement prevention and operate safe schools, which I think Nisha and Dr. Silver spoke about tonight. We also have to speak to it in terms of 20% of the funds being reserved for academic impact or loss of instructional time when we are on distance learning. And finally, the district has to also ensure that anything we do has metrics to it, that we are looking at these interventions, all of them, academic, social, emotional, and mental health needs of our students, and that we're understanding how to measure them, measure the success of them. So I'm gonna have Dave just speak to the money part, of course.
Thank you, Dr. Harbeck. So as Dr. Harbeck mentioned, this was from the the ARA, which was signed into law in March by President Biden. For the state of California, it allocated roughly $13.6 billion. And these allocations to each school district were based on Title I allocations, which is based on socioeconomic disadvantaged students. So for Wiseburn, the allocation is about 1.9, just over $1.9 million, and we have until September 30th, 2024 to spend these funds. There's two different buckets, as Dr. Harbeck mentioned. The first one is to implement strategies for continuous and safe in-person learning, and we have about almost $1.6 million. And then 20% of the entire allocation, or about $389,000, is to address the academic impact of lost instructional time. However, our plan calls for $983,000 for that second bullet point, to implement strategies for continuous and safe in-person learning. So $983,000, or about 50.5% of the budget. And then we have about $944,000 budgeted, or about 48.5%, to implement strategies for continuous and safe in-person learning. And then the final about $21,000, just over 1%, set aside for contingencies in case salaries go up or benefits go up, or other things went over their expected budget. So that's kind of where we're budgeting our allocations, and we've definitely met that 20% required minimum. I think that's all I have.
And so if we're just looking at those two parts of the grant, we wanted to point out that we're trying to continue the really important things that we've begun this year, the supports that we provide to our students, and also the capacity building that we're doing within our own staff. So for strategies of continuous and safe in-person learning, we are going to continue to provide electronic devices, Chromebooks, and hotspots as needed to our families, and also to our students on campuses, so that we continue with our one-to-one Chromebook learning platforms. We also have safety, which includes I don't even want to say it, Dave, the bipolar ionization, but also protection software as we continue to monitor how we're going with COVID. We also have social emotional supports. We're going to continue with our full-time family service counselor. We found that to be especially important as we return to school. We're increasing support for the students in the middle school with a counseling support as well. And then we want to make sure that we have always professional development for our classified staff to support our students in the area of safety with social emotional learning, and also family engagement. We're going to keep our communication specialist, who provides us with support as we try and communicate so many difficult topics to our stakeholders outside the district and also within our own district. For addressing impact of lost learning instructional time, we're going to keep our summer school going, our program for reading and mathematics. We're also going to keep the intervention staff, which allows us to lower the number of student to teacher ratio in our math classes at Dana Middle School in 6th grade. We're looking at continuing our summer learning for staff, which we are able to offer this year. And then the last would be keeping our teachers on special assignment and our consultants and our specialists in place where our teachers are fully supported in growing and learning as educators and differentiating instruction. And that includes pull-out time where they can go observe each other teach and have more time for teacher collaboration. So that is where we're going.
Eileen, one thing, could you just touch on, you mentioned about the middle school counselor, could you just touch on that for just clarify that a little bit?
Sure. So the middle school counseling program, right now we have 2 counselors at the middle school for about 970 children. So it's really, we're underwhelmed there. We need to have more support. And really the kids are coming forward with day-to-day needs and sometimes higher needs. So Megan Engie and Ted Okazinski have been at the middle school for years. So we're hoping to add a counselor, a PPS counselor, a pupil services counselor there to expand our offerings for all the students. And this grant's going to allow for it. So we will have that posted. We're going to send it into LACO tomorrow. We upload that into the ELCAP system, and then they review it. But tonight we're asking that the board approve it.
Any comments or questions? Well, thank you, Dr. Harbeck and Mr. Wilson, for preparing that. Obviously, we're thrilled to have these funds and appreciate the application of the usage there. I think we need a vote. Wendy?
Mr. Penlolos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving to 6.3, approved schedule for the 2022 board meetings. A motion, please.
Yeah, motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you both.
Mr. Benuelos,
Thank you.
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
All
Wendy,
right.
I noted it said draft on there but that now is not draft anymore.
It will be final now.
Right.
Jess.
And Ms. Ubaki, will you be sending us calendar announcements for that, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. Let's go to item 7, facilities. I believe we could probably take a motion for the 3 of these, unless Dr. Silvers, you have an objection?
No, I don't.
I would like to motion 7.1 through 7.3. Dr. Goldman?
Thank you.
You have a second?
Thank you, Mr. Mora.
I do have a comment.
Please.
Or actually, I'm going to actually defer to Dave for a comment on 7.3. The replacement of the valves, gas regulator valves.
Dr. Silvers, you just want me to give a quick
just
update
an
on why?
Yeah, just quick update.
I think that was
What
at Dane
happened?
Middle School, correct?
Yeah, just what happened and where we're at.
Okay, so apparently Southern California Edison saw that there was an increase in the amount of natural gas we were using, so they sent out technicians to Dana Middle School. They felt that there was a gas leak. In order to find that gas leak, we have to put in new manifolds. So I guess some of the gas lines were quote unquote out of compliance. And so before they would test the lines to find the gas leak, we need to put in new gas regulator manifolds, about 6 of them. So the only gas that we have right now at Dana Middle School is to the kitchen. The work has already been started by Bob and Mark, and they're thinking originally it was going to be about 18 work days. They think they can do it within about 10 to 12. So better than to get it done sooner. But it was because Southern California Edison thought we had a gas leak, and this is their requirement and no way around it, unfortunately.
Dave, was it just for clarity? It was, I would assume it was Southern California Gas Company, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. Did I say Edison?
Edison, I think, yeah.
Southern California Gas Company. I apologize. Yes. SoCal
Okay.
Gas.
And, okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, and I have a comment on 7.1. Just appreciate that we are ensuring that our networks are secure and getting validation therein. Look forward to learning how we continue to maintain our data safely and securely. I think, Wendy, we can take a vote at this time on 7.1 through 3.
Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving to fiscal action items 8. I welcome a motion for 8.1 to 8.11.
You have a motion from 8.1 through 8.11.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Roger. Questions or comments on any of these items? Hearing none. Ms. Ubaki.
Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Moving to consent, action items 9. Entertain a motion if someone would for 9.1 through 17.
I'll motion 9.1 to 9.17.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you both. Comments or questions?
I have no questions.
No questions.
Ms. Subaki?
Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Personnel action items 10, 10.1 through 10.8. Dr. Silvers, I believe we need to make an amendment to 10.3.
Yes, so I'm actually, can we pull up 10.3? It is there, sorry. Thank you, Wendy. I'm actually going to ask that we're going to remove 3 from the bottom, 1, 2, yes, third name from the bottom, Blanca, if we can remove that resignation. Blanca has chosen to remain with the district, and we're happy about that. So we're going to go ahead and remove that from this list, and ask the board to take action on the other items, on the other names.
So we need a motion from 10.1 to 10.8 or any subset thereof with the amendment to 10.3, removing Blanca Marroquin.
You have a motion of 10.1 through 10.8 with the 10.3 amendment as noted.
Thank you very much.
Second?
Thank you very much. Yeah,
No questions.
Mr. Baki?
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Upcoming dates and events.
Neil, if I could just interrupt, just congratulations to Dr. Silvers for extension of his contract. Very well deserved.
Actually, Mr. Mora, that is not an it's not an extensive amendment. It's but I will explain it though, since it's basically in lieu of the district providing my medical benefits as part of my contract. I actually my spouse's medical benefits are cheaper and it actually saves the district money. So just happy to do that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So evidently the extension of your contract is still a
I know.
question,
I
but
mean,
you're saving money.
You know, something we should talk about.
Neither in question. Thank you very much. I'm not sure Dr. Silvers or Ms. Subaki who's going to talk to us, but please do about upcoming dates and events.
I could do that. And so we actually had Red Ribbon Week. So that was October 25th through 29th. So we're wrapping Red Ribbon Week up. We have a holiday. It's a Thursday holiday, which is November 11th. And then following that day, we have our Professional Learning Day, November 12th. Then we have our next regular meeting on November 18th, 5 p.m. for close, 6 p.m. for open session. What's not in here are the vaccination dates. And the reason they're not in here is because we didn't get confirmation until after the board agenda was posted. So those dates we've already shared. We will send them out again too via our other means of disseminating information. And then we have our Thanksgiving holiday, and that's actually a holiday week for the entire district. So district office, all district offices, school offices, et cetera, will be closed. That's Monday, November 22nd to Friday, November 26th. And that's it.
And Dr. Silvers, a point of clarification, the November 9th and November 18th dates, maybe Dr. Dougal, I'm not sure who, are tentative. Are they not pending CDC approval, or are we going to have them anyway?
So yeah, so it is pending CDC approval. It is very, very likely that CDC will approve it next week. It has already been advised by the FDA 2 days ago, so they've already given CDC their recommendation to approve it. It's just the vote that CDC has to take.
Any other issues or items to bring up at this time from any of the board?
Dr. Goldman, can I share one last item? You know, since we're talking about vaccinations, and I do want to just share that Dr. Ferrer and the LA Department of Public Health, you know, we're lucky enough to have them as partners. And I will say Dr. Ferrer was recognized as well at the SoFi Stadium event for her work through this pandemic. It's obviously been a very difficult and challenging road that she's taken, but also we were lucky to have calls with her every week. And in this last call, she did indicate there is no anticipation of eliminating the mitigation strategies to date, particularly around masking. And I know that's come up a couple times. And you know, we've had families reach out and ask, you know, when are we going to be removing the masking requirement, or when may we remove that? At this point, Dr. Ferrer did state very frankly that at least through the end of December, so moving into January, you know, through the winter holiday, we will not have masking requirements lifted, at least in LA County. So we're expected to keep that moving forward. And I know we're kind of, I mean, some of us may be getting tired of masks. I think I can speak personally and say I am, but we're going to keep wearing them and keep trying to keep kids and families and community members safe.
Our first pillar is safety, and that's driving this decision. Again, any other issues or items to address? Hearing none at 7:25 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.